Hello there, Kathy Brennan here, telling you how to look better, feel better, and do better. Today I'm going to talk about the title of my book, So Now What? Because it means so much more than just so now what. I want to break it down and then help you figure out how this one simple little question can help you deal with difficult people in your life. So, the title is not a way to rush through life. We don't have something happen and then say, well, so now what? So now what? It's not a way to rush through life, but it's a way to focus. It's a way to stop and say, so now what? It's a mindset. It's a way to address problems in a really good, focused manner. Because what it does is it leads to more than just that question. It'll lead to other questions. So now what? And those questions will help us figure out the next step to take or how to deal with. In this example, we're going to talk about today how to deal with difficult people. Ultimately, it leads us to get unstuck. So let me tell you what I mean. Let's say you have a rebellious teenager and they're pushing you away and they're doing things wrong and they're disrespectful. And this is the difficult person you have. And so let's break down the question, so now what? Take the word so. So tells us to just acknowledge reality. So. It's telling yourself the truth about what's happening. So my child's pushing me away. So my child is misbehaving. So my child is in trouble. So my child is disappointing me. I taught him good values and he's just throwing out the door. That's the reality. That's the so. He's not behaving well. He is being rebellious. He is being disrespectful. That's the so. I'm going to deal with the reality of it. I'm going to tell myself the truth about what's happening. So, this is confusing. I don't know why this is happening. That's the so. I'm acknowledging the reality. It's really, really important to start these things by looking at what actually is. It's a real critical step. It's the first thing you need to do. So. And then it's like, so now what? So now that all this reality is before me, now what? So then let's talk about the now. Now is in this moment. Now is not, it's letting go of the past. Now is not drawing to a conclusion. It's not letting scary thoughts in about what's going on. It's just right now. In this moment. What's the one thing I need to focus right now? It's letting go of those expectations right now. So, in the reality of this child being rebellious and getting in trouble and being disrespectful and slamming doors, now, like right now, what? What can I do about it? What can I do about it? So often we want to have them do something about it, but it's really about what I can do about it. And these answers aren't going to be I'm going to give you some tips here. They're not always what you initially think. So when you can start by saying, what can I do? We can drop all the, if they would just do this, or if they would just start being that way. What am I going to do about it? What am I going to do to help myself face this reality? It can be hope. We can hope for what our children are going to become. Even in the midst of this nasty, they just had a tantrum and screamed obscenities and ran into the room and slammed their door. What can I do to face the reality right now? Wow, that just happened. I can start to lean on these spiritual practices that I talk about: faith, hope, gratitude, love, joy, meaning, and purpose. So what can I hope for? What can I hope can come out of this? Then think about gratitude. What am I grateful for in this moment? I'm grateful for that nasty child is still living in my house and we have some kind of relationship that we can work this out. I'm grateful that they're here. I'm grateful that they're not having that kind of tantrum with a boss and then they get fired, or with a boyfriend and then they break up. I'm grateful that that child is living in my house right now. How can I be grateful? How can I be hopeful? How can I love that child? How can I love that child right now? How can I love myself? How can I love myself? I can say, I've been a good parent. I know I have loved this child. I haven't done everything perfectly, of course, but I do acknowledge that I have shown my child and done the best I could to parent this child, even though that's just what happened. So what can I do to face the reality? I can talk to other parents. I'm probably not the only one dealing with a rebellious teen. Don't go it alone. Share your stuff with, close friends. You don't throw it out there on Facebook unless you've got a small group or something that you're doing that. But share it with other people. Get their reaction. Help. Maybe they'll have some perspective of you or of the child that you haven't considered yet. So often, I know for myself, I was the harshest judge of both myself and my kids. Think about, what is the purpose in all this? Oh my goodness, it seems like there's no purpose, that just explosion happened. But it could be teaching you to be patient. The purpose could be to have the child go process what they just did, and so they can grow and mature. There is a purpose to all these things. It's hard to see in the moment, but when we're doing this, so now what? And we're taking this action of, I'm going to think about the purpose to this. We can get out of the emotion and the drama of what just happened and help ourselves get unstuck from the trauma of this. And then therefore we can help our child get unstuck too. So what can you do for the child in that scenario? Maybe you just allow them to fail. Maybe you just allow them to have had that blow up, and maybe they're crying, or maybe they're throwing things around. Maybe you just allow them to fail. Just allow them to be a person. Think back when you were 16, 17, whatever age, and think about how you reacted to things, how hard it was to control your emotions. Just love them for who they are. Just step back from it. This is the what. This is what you can do for your child. Maybe you just back off. Maybe you just back off. Maybe whatever you asked of them, you just back off from it. That could be what you do both for them and yourself to move through this difficulty. Loving them for who they are and not for who you want them to be. Again, this is ourself. This is work within ourselves. Facing, ooh, this is what I wanted them to be. I wanted them to be cooperative. I wanted them to be compliant like I am. I wanted them to be happy all the time like I was, or serious all the time like I was, or a hard worker all the time like I was. But guess what? They're not you. They're them. So we need to let go of those expectations of who we want them to be and let them be who they are. That is a way to love. And that's something that you can do. That's a what. Another what is consider other reasons that they might be reacting that way. I talked in my last Facebook Live about defensiveness, and so often we're defensive because we're hiding or protecting something. That child might be reacting to you because you're safe, because they're really dealing with boyfriend issues, girlfriend issues, friend issues, teacher issues, and they just are having a hard time and they're struggling with it, and your comment to them just set off the fireworks. So consider these other reasons that they might be reacting rebelliously, negatively. And what that can do is allow you to be in a different place. Now you're not reacting to what they did to you, but now it's like, oh boy, maybe they've got friend stuff. I don't know what it is. And now I'm in a new place. Now I have some compassion for them, and I can turn that around to pray for them, just to send good thoughts their way if you don't want to pray. Something so that you're not, it's not about you anymore. Now it can turn, and you can have this compassion on this rebellious, nasty teen who just had a meltdown in front of you. So often too, teenagers, they really want to make us proud. They really do not want to disappoint us. And if we just told them they got home too late, their room is messy, they're not keeping up on their homework, they are disappointing us, and they might react to that by being rebellious or angry or aggressive. So just kind of keep in mind, again, maybe step back to when you were a teenager and what you thought of your parents. Especially with teenagers, oh my goodness, they're in these adult-sized bodies. And so we think they're adults, but their mind is still maturing. They still have so much to learn, and we don't do them any favors often by treating them as equal adults when they're still going through all these growth phases, and then it's showing up in this meltdown they have. And then boundaries. Oh my goodness, I have so much to say about boundaries. So when we talk about boundaries, I'm responsible for my emotions, you're responsible for your emotions. So often with teenagers, we try to take care of their emotions, or we don't appreciate that they have different emotions than us, and so we fight it. And so am I trying to take care of my child's emotions instead of allowing them to process it and do it themselves? Am I trying to be responsible for their choices so they made a bad choice? Am I just allowing them to make poor choices so they figure out what the consequences of those are? Am I stepping into their yard? I talk about this in my book, how we each have our yard and we each have boundaries around our yard. Am I stepping into their yard and taking care of stuff that is not mine to take care of? Do we have our boundaries mixed up as they become these young adults? Am I allowing them the freedom to deal with their own stuff, to make their own choices? to value things that are different than I value. Let's say I value orderliness and cleanliness and they are a slob and their room is a mess. Am I just allowing them to value something other than I do? Or am I going to make them, am I trying to make them a mini me and getting frustrated when they're not falling in line? There's so much work that needs to be done around boundaries. And this is not easy because none of this happens overnight. It happens so gradually. And then we reach a new place where all of a sudden they're 17 and driving and they want to dress a certain way than I think is appropriate. Wow, like all of a sudden then we have these flashpoints and we have to deal with the boundary. Like, how are we going to reestablish the boundaries here so that neither one of us gets stuck in this? And then back to ourselves, how are you handling your thoughts? All the thoughts you have about this child, are you spinning on the negative thoughts? Or are you walking those thoughts to the curb, back to this boundary analogy again? Are you just saying, I'm not going to spin on that right now. Not helpful. This is not what I'm going to do right now to help through this situation. And then what do I do for me? What do I do after this blow up? And what do I do for me? So now what do I do for me? Maybe I just meditated on enough until I can really let it go. This is a self-care thing. There's nothing you can do about it right now. It has happened. But you can teach yourself to let it go so that it's not occupying mental real estate and adjusting your attitude in a negative direction. How can I let this go? Another thing you can do for yourself, make sure you get enough sleep. This flashpoint might have happened because you weren't getting enough sleep. It also could have happened because your teenager wasn't getting enough sleep. So just realizing that, this physical component of our emotional explosion, just realizing, oh my goodness, they're tired. They're at their wits' end. They've got finals next week or whatever. Just realizing the physical component of this blow up and realizing, oh, maybe that was part of it. It's not that she hates me. She's tired. It really can be that simple. So I want you to start thinking about the what. What can I do? For yourself, again, I talked about meditating. Another thing is just to breathe deeply, to learn how to calm yourself. I can quickly tell you, and I've practiced this for many years, it's real helpful, is to breathe in through your nose, maybe to the count of 4, and to breathe out through your mouth to the count of 8, or as long as you can blow it out and as slowly. It will actually slow your heart rate and calm yourself. Because that nasty, rebellious teenager isn't the only one that needs calming now. This is something you can do for yourself. Someday you'll be able to teach them too. And it's a really good skill to know how to calm yourself. Do you know you can do this in business meetings, or if you're dealing with a difficult in-law, you can really do this. You can slow your heart rate down and calm it. It might be that for yourself, you say, I'm going to deal with this tomorrow because it's late and it's everything. Our willpower wanes during the end of the day. We're tired. We're physically tired. We're emotionally and mentally, we've been taxed. Sometimes the best thing to do is to deal with it tomorrow, to really be able to put it aside and say, I'm going to deal with this tomorrow. Because like my mom said, and we all know it's true, everything looks better in the morning. It really does. So the bottom line is, it could be a difficult teen, it could be a difficult spouse, it could be a difficult coworker. So now what? So I'm going to face the reality of it. Now, in this moment, what am I going to do about it? I'm going to focus on the physical, mental, and spiritual. What can I do physically to help myself? What can I do mentally to help myself? And what can I do spiritually to help myself? These are the tools. These are the tools that I talk about in my book that can help you get unstuck and just move on. I tell you, these work. And often it's not what you think. You wouldn't necessarily think, I just had an explosion with my rebellious teen, I need to get some shut-eye. We don't really think that. And it absolutely can be true. And when we can calm ourselves and get in that state, you might just knock on the door and say, sweetie, I'm sorry that happened. Let's deal with it tomorrow. I get kind of emotional thinking about the difficulty of this for both the child and the parent. And then she knows you're there, and the two of you will take it up tomorrow. And then she can sleep better. Yeah, this really works. This really works. So we all have difficult people in our lives. We all have these things happen. And there really are tools and ways to deal with it. And when we do, we look better. We're happier. We have a better countenance. We feel better. We know that we're handling life. And then we do better. Have a great, great day. Yeah. See you soon.